Girl Scout cookies are back, y'all. Just had me a Thin Mint there. What's your guys' favorite flavor of Girl Scout cookies? I'm a Thin Mint guy, but I also really love Tagalongs. Hello everyone, welcome back to Kipper the Dog Home Media Reviews. I guess this is just going to be a thing I open where I'm either eating or drinking something. This review is on the final VHS exclusive Kipper the Dog release, Snowy Day and Other Stories. Now, the episodes on here are not VHS exclusive, at least I don't think they are, but the release itself is VHS exclusive, just like with the last 2 weeks. So let's not waste any time, let's jump right into the history section of Snowy Day and Other Stories. So Snowy Day and Other Stories was released once in 2000 by Hallmark Home Entertainment and distributed by Family Home Entertainment. This is the second release that I didn't own as a kid. I didn't know this one existed, and I mentioned last week how I had a funny story about this release when I was collecting all of the Kipper releases to actually start this show. I thought I already had this release. The cover art is very similar to another Kipper release, this one, Let It Snow. And I own Let It Snow on DVD. Spoiler alert for later on in this show, but that was actually one of the last Kipper DVDs that I needed to pick up for my collection. So I thought, for some odd reason, these two releases were the same thing. Upon further inspection, though, I realized that one of these said Let It Snow, and the other one said Snowy Day and Other Stories, and I realized, oh crap, I'm missing a third VHS tape. So here I was, off to eBay, and this one's definitely the rarest of the 3 VHS tapes. Snowy Day and Other Stories is not easy to find. At least it wasn't when I purchased it. Some of these sellers thought they had something pretty rare here, because I remember these things going for some big bucks. Or at least they were listed for big bucks. I don't know if they ever sold for those prices. My copy of Snowy Day is actually very unique, but I'll let you guys take a look at that in the close-up, which we're going into right now. Alrighty everyone, here's your close-up of Kipper, Snowy Days, and Other Stories. Just like last week, this was released by Hallmark, and it is an original copy. Hallmark Home Entertainment is at the top, Kipper, Snowy Day, and Other Stories, and there's Kipper rolling around with a snowball, with the nice blue background and snow falling there. This one might be my favorite of the classic Hallmark VHS posters. It's just so wholesome. I mean, they're all wholesome, but this one just screams wholesome to me. The spine, portrait of Kipper, taken from the front. A little bird makes a cameo appearance here next to the logo, Snowy Day. Hallmark, closed caption, VHS, product number, no FHE logo there on the spine. The back features your UPC code. Kipper licking some snow out of the sky. And just like Pig's Present, you don't get a list of stories, but they are mentioned here in the blurb. They're italicized. We have Snowy Day, Pig's Cousin, the Paddling Pool, and Tiger's Torch. And speaking of Tiger, there's Tiger right there. He's all bundled up in several scarves and hats and gloves. On the bottom here, there's your FHE logo. Color, all that good stuff. You may have noticed these little things here and this little logo that's been rubbed off. This is sealed, and I have debated for months about whether or not I want to open this. I feel like I have to. I have to watch it for this home media review. I can't just watch these episodes on YouTube. I have to watch it in the authentic way they were presented on this VHS tape. So I'm going against the collector mentality, and I'm going to open this. But I'm going to do it live on camera for all of you guys. All right. The cellophane has been cut. No going back now. I have not opened a VHS tape in years, probably since I was a kid, I would think. So this is giving me some nostalgic flashbacks. Oh man. The value of this tape just plummeted, but you know what? I'm probably never going to sell it, so it's fine. It's all fine. Okay, there we go. It's open now. Can't believe I just did that. I completely went against everything that a collector stands for, but I have to watch it in the way that it was presented. Not much difference. There was a sticker that was peeled off there on the top, but now it's in pristine condition there. Now you can see the full UPC code there. There's a little dent. I wonder how that happened. But now let's take a look at the tape for the first time together. Ooh, this is a... Wow, okay. I thought this was going to be a sticker label, but no, this is an ink label. Okay. How about that? Artisan. Released by Artisan. Or distributed by Artisan. If you guys don't know, Artisan was the same company that produced the Punisher movie starring Thomas Jane. So Kipper the dog and the Punisher movie, they exist under the same umbrella, I guess. So now that I have committed a dastardly sin and opened up Snowy Days and Other Stories, I can now show you VHS footage from it. Here it is.
Oh yes, there it is. Oh. Ow!
I assume that footage looks really good, considering this tape has never been played, and it has never degraded in quality because it has been played. I don't know, because I have just opened it here on camera. So me, that is currently recording this, hasn't seen what the footage looks like yet. But you guys have seen it, and it probably looks really good. So with all that being said, that wraps up your close-up. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always.
Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1. Where can you pick this product up? Online retailers, eBay most likely, but in fact, I just did a search for it over here on eBay. There are 2 of them that are currently up for $20 each, and then there's one up for $6 with $5 shipping. Ooh, and there's one included in a lot of VHS tapes. That's cool. But for the most part, when you search Snowy Day Kipper on eBay, you're going to get the book version, which looks like this. It's got a picture of Kipper and Tiger there on the front. So maybe it's not as hard to find as it was back when I bought it. At the time, that sealed copy was the only thing on eBay. I wish I would have known that before I opened it, because I would have kept it sealed. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? Ha! You're funny. No. Number 3, should you pick this product up? We begin Snowy Day with a trailer for Artisan Entertainment that features brands such as FHE, Hallmark, Video, Animal Planet Video, and some others. I haven't heard Animal Planet in years. Is that channel still on TV? Something tells me that Artisan either became part of Lionsgate, or maybe Lionsgate bought Artisan, or maybe Artisan bought Lionsgate or something, because these trailer transitions are extremely similar to some Lionsgate releases. We then move on to a Kipper trailer that I had never seen before. It's a trailer for Pig's Present. And just like the Visitor, it retailed for $9.98 back in the day. That's crazy to me. I cannot believe that VHS tapes were so cheap back then. We then move on to a appropriately themed trailer. It's a Christmas themed special trailer. It's called The Tangerine Bear, starring Jonathan Taylor Thomas. That dude was like the king of the 1990s, and then just like fell off the face of the earth. Like, no one knows what happened to him. He appeared like briefly in Last Man Standing for a couple of cameos, and then he just was gone. Like, what happened to JTT? Come on, man. Where'd you go? Did you just go off into retirement from all the money that you made from all those Disney movies? Now we're finally on to the real meat of this release. The episodes. Snowy Day. This is an episode that I had seen previously, but never actually watched that often. This one was featured on Let It Snow, and since that release had primarily Christmas-themed episodes on it, I never really watched that one unless it was Christmas time. It didn't really feel appropriate. Snow does not translate well in this universe. There isn't a lot of background paint in this universe. It's basically a white void wherever you go. So trying to convey snow in a white void with minimal color doesn't really look all that good. The fact that there's this huge blizzard was kind of lost on me, and the only way that you can really tell that it's snowing is, one, you're being told that it's snowing by Kipper, and two, when the snowflakes fall and they go over top of Kipper, you can see them because Kipper is separating you from the white void. Felt like I had to adjust the white balance on my TV because of just how blinding some shots in this episode are. Of course, Tiger is basically covered from head to toe in scarves. He seemed like that kid whose mom always bundled him up in layers upon layers upon layers, just so he didn't catch a little cold. Yes, I am comparing Tiger to Randy from A Christmas Story. Sue me. Very enjoyable episode. Kipper and Tiger's close friendship is on full display here, and that rolling down a hill into a giant snowball is a classic cartoon gag. Always makes me laugh. Moving on to Pig's Cousin, an episode I never saw as a child and finally explains to me the origins of Arnold. My entire childhood, I always thought that Pig and Arnold were brothers, because in no other episode, at least to my knowledge, is it mentioned that they are cousins. Everything I have ever known is a lie, according to this episode. Arnold was always a favorite character of mine, though. He was always getting into mischievous adventures behind the adults' backs, and I found that very entertaining as a child, and I'm sure I'll find it entertaining now as an adult. When Pig, Arnold, and Kipper get on that seesaw, I couldn't help but think about how much the seesaw was always a weight measuring contest when you were a kid. Seeing how much heavier your pal was compared to you, it made you feel good inside. But, and I'm positive that any guy who's been around a seesaw can relate to this next statement. Have you ever had a close call with the light side of the seesaw? Sometimes it gets a little too close to that special area. Sometimes it's coming up just a little bit too fast and gets a little bit too close to that special area, and you jump out of the way and think, woo, I can still have kids one day. A very important location gets its first mention here. It's Big Hill. It's a very popular area and will appear constantly throughout the rest of the show. Arnold gets pulled up into the air by a kite, as I said earlier, mischievous adventures. He's hardly to blame, though. Kipper and Pig clearly let that happen. Leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for the other characters to find you is honestly a stroke of genius for someone as young as Arnold, and him saying, Doc, was adorable. Great episode. Loved it all around. Might be my favorite on this release. The Paddling Pool. The name of this episode sounded familiar, and after the first few frames came on screen, I concluded I had in fact seen this episode before. I don't remember which release it was on, but I know it was on something that I watched as a kid. Kind of a tonal switch to go from a title episode where there's snow all over the ground to then go to an episode where it's sweltering hot outside. As a kid, though, I always wanted to taste that drink that Kipper had. Maybe it was because of the swirly straw, maybe it was because he seemed to really be enjoying it. Whatever the reason, I wanted a taste. Kipper's closet looks exactly like mine now. Junk piled up everywhere with no floor in sight. I know this because I'm standing in my closet to record this, and I am surrounded by just crap. And didn't you hate having to blow up those inflatable pools? They always took too long to inflate, and you never had it perfect. There was always an area that was a little too saggy. I can honestly say, though, I have never had the hose go into a frenzy and unravel quite like Kipper's did here. I don't have any wood to knock on. Watch. This spring I'll go out to my hose, and it'll tangle me up, and I'll die a slow and excruciating death from suffocation. Wow, that got dark really fast. Kipper got over losing his ice cream a bit too fast for me. I'd be devastated personally if I lost ice cream that looked that good. Pretty sure that this episode is where I learned the word puncture. Kipper teaching me those $5 words. Did Kipper make himself a cocktail once the pool was finished? That little umbrella and the blue color screams soda and vodka mix. And that straw was even crazier than the first one. Also never knew what hail was before I saw this episode. Kipper taught me a lot about the real world. Slice of life episode here, and those are always my favorites whenever it comes to Kipper. They're just so relaxing. Very good. Thumbs up. I still think Pig's Cousin is better though, but this one's a solid second. Tiger's Torch. Second episode I'm seeing for the first time on this release, and immediately I was let down. Why? Because I expected Tiger would be carrying a large torch with a huge ball of fire at the end, and he would proceed to light the local Catholic church on fire. No, my fellow pyromaniacs, unfortunately, torch must be the British word for flashlight, because that's all this is. Tiger somehow convinces Kipper to go out and camp in the woods in the middle of the night, and Kipper has this really funny book where it says, "Deep in the middle of the dark, dark wood, there lived a terrible, horrible, horrendous," and it just keeps going on with all of this descriptions of how evil this ghost is. I thought that joke was hilarious. But there is no way in hell an incandescent bulb, like the one that's in Tiger's flashlight, would shine that bright of a beam in the middle of the woods. He would definitely need an LED bulb for that. Yes, I am commenting on light patterns of flashlights in a children's show. Thank you for asking. Tiger getting progressively more frightened every time Kipper tried to read that story did get funnier and funnier. I really enjoyed that. Me being a former snail parent, rest easy Gary and Flash, I always enjoy seeing snails show up in television programs. Or, in the British's case, programs. Yeah, the monster in this that Tiger's torch shines at, it's a snail, and it's adorable. Fun episode. Made me think about a future Kipper episode that we'll be talking about here in the next few weeks. Honestly, I think the weakest link here, other than the fact that the intro and outro plays for every single episode, I know I mention that every week so far, but I just have to let you know how much I hate that. The weakest link here, I think, is the title episode, Snowy Day. It's alright. I didn't really care much for it, though. I mean, I liked it, but man, that just overwhelming sense of bright white right in my face. It felt like I was in an insane asylum or something. I think Pig's Present, Paddling Pool, Tiger's Torch, and then Snowy Day, I think that's how I would rank these. Or no, not Pig's Present, Pig's Cousin. Sorry. Pig's Cousin, Paddling Pool, Tiger's Torch, and then Snowy Day. That's how I would rank these episodes here. Was it really that obvious that I'm going to recommend Snowy Day? Of course I'm going to recommend it. It's got two really good episodes on here. One that's pretty good in Tiger's Torch, and one that's just alright. Snowy Day was just, it was alright. It's a Kipper episode, so I can't say it's terrible, but it didn't live up to the highs of Pig's Cousin or the Paddling Pool. But I still recommend that you should watch all four of these, because you should watch Kipper the dog. It's the whole purpose of this damn show. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Same answers as number 1. And number 5, what price should you pay? Well, eBay is telling me that apparently you should pay $20 for one of these, unless you want to only pay $10. Since this one is the more expensive one out of these first 3 original Kipper releases, I'd say anywhere from 10 to 15 would be worth it. I honestly can't remember how much I paid for mine. It might have been more than that, to be honest, it probably was, but it was sealed, so I got a fully raw, untouched copy of Snowy Day and Other Stories, the one release out of these 3 that I think I like the least. Well, folks, that wraps up your home media review for Snowy Day and Other Stories. We are finally out of the VHS era for Kipper. Technically speaking, Kipper did continue to get VHS releases for quite a while, for quite a while, right up until the end of its run, actually, over here in the United States. But from here on out, it's just DVD. I had a lot of these VHS tapes when I was a kid, but I wanted these releases on a higher quality format. So when I went searching for all of these a few years ago, I picked up the DVD versions. So folks, what are we going to be talking about next week for Kipper the Dog Home Media Reviews? I can't help but wonder, what would Jimmy Buffett do? Funny you should ask, Alan. I'd say we're covering pools, parks, and picnics next week on Kipper the Dog Home Media Reviews. Look, I did the Alan Jackson thing last week. I figure why not do it again? Rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. Yes, folks, we're talking about pools, parks, and picnics next week. One of the 2 original Kipper releases that I owned as a kid. This is what started me on this journey with Kipper the dog himself. Pools, Parks, and Picnics. It's one of my personal favorites. I can't wait to give it a rewatch. Thank you all so very much for watching. I will catch you all next week. Good night, everybody.